to gravity high. Talking tech as the planets fly. The upgrade zone, the show begins. Sit right back and let the future speak.
All right, then. I guess we're rolling.
Yeah.
So, hi, Dori.
Hi.
It's
Hi,
good
Dan.
to see you finally in person.
yeah.
It took us a couple of attempts to actually meet, so that's great.
Yeah, but
thank
we
you
did
for
it
coming.
finally. Yeah.
Okay, obviously I've kind of heard your story already to some extent. I know, who you are and what you do, etc. But for anybody listening or watching, how would you, introduce yourself and your business? What can you say to everybody out there listening?
So I'm Dori Shabat, CEO of at CallMarker. We are a company that launched at 2018, more than 7 years ago, and we developed the first autonomous platform for sales teams. We have offices in Israel and now offices for the last 2 years in the UK, in Manchester.
Great. So
Yeah.
you started over there, and this is
Yeah.
your second sort of
It's the
area.
business expansion. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one. And over those 7 years, what's the progress been like? Do you find it was easier to start over there, or now that you see the market, what it looks like here, if you were to build again, would you start here or start the same way you did 7 years ago? Would that be the same sort of thing?
So to answer on that, I need to say a little bit about CallMarker. So CallMarker, the whole idea of the system was born when I had an advertising agency.
Okay.
We had almost 1,000 customers, so it's a big agency,
Very good.
and we start to hear a lot of customers saying that the leads we are generating, they're not good, they're not qualified, they don't pick up the phone,
Okay.
etc. And as a person that likes to take 100% responsibility about anything I do in my life, I went and started to call those leads and see what happened. And I saw a couple of things that cause us to start CallMarker. So one was that people really don't pick up the phone.
Okay.
So the first one was that people really don't pick up the phone, and they're busy and other things they probably do. The second was that they're not that available to have a conversation when you're calling them. So they're not that free all of the time. And the third thing, and I'm pretty sure you won't be that surprised, that sales reps are humans. And when humans have to deal with that kind of interaction, they start to have assumptions on leads.
Of course.
If this lead didn't pick up the phone twice or 3 times, then he's not that serious. Or if he told me to call him back afternoon and he didn't pick up the phone, then he's not that serious. And all of the solutions we have that back then and also today are CRMs with a list of leads. Okay, all of the CRMs, and you can go to the advanced one and the best one in the market like Salesforce and HubSpot, etc. They all have, at the end of the day, they have list of tasks that the sales reps need to do. And we understood that this is the big problem in the market, and that's how we came up with the idea to CallMarker. We decided to create a system with a CRM functionality, phone system, and other, but to make sure the system is based on AI. And back then, 7 years ago, it wasn't as we know it today. No one knew how to pronounce the name ChatGPT.
Yep.
And that's what we did. So we had multiple AI models, which we trained on. Back then, it was hundreds of thousands of sales interactions.
Okay.
And those models knew how to understand what is going, during the sales process, and to prioritize and help the sales reps to do much more at the same time.
Amazing.
So that's CallMarker. That's how we started. And in Israel, because it's my where I came from, it was very easy for me to understand and go to the market and try the product and try to develop it and make it what it's become in the last few years. So I wouldn't change it because I needed to do that. Now when we have customers not only in Israel, we have in Europe and in the UK, it's the right time to do this move.
I see.
Like 2 years ago, not just now.
I see. Okay, and when we look at the product itself, obviously you've explained, what it does and how it can help an organization. But, from how you built it, that's obviously, from what I hear, it's a great starting point because you've analyzed, what you've been already dealing with. So you knew that space anyway. But then how did you go into that analysis with the intention of building something, or did it occur to you like only after you've done your analysis and you called these people and then you identify, there might be a problem there? Or did you already have like, we maybe should create something already? And did you have that sort of idea in your mind before?
I think it's a little bit of each one of them because at the beginning we faced the problem. We had the advertising agency. We faced the problem. We knew that there is a problem in the market, and we wanted to. So I think it's a bit of everything because at the beginning we saw the problem in the market. I had the advertising agency, and I decided to go and do something after I sold the agency. But after that, because it was a bootstrap, we didn't raise any money. Then any complaint from our customers were something that were really hurt in terms of, they told us, if you won't fix it, we won't use the system. And so it involved a lot of back and forth with the comments we got from the customers and improve the product.
I see.
Yeah.
And from the initial, let's say, inception of the idea, how long did it take you to land on something that was already, workable? The first, let's say, draft of the app. What was the sort of process like? If you can just take us through that, like origin of the actual thing.
Yeah. So the MVP, the first version, took us like 6 months, about six months. And during that time, we already started to sell the product. I had a presentation. I got to customers, really small one, but to customers, I did that and try to sell this product and say, hey, you can be the first one who will use it. And it was a great approach back then.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a way, you created like a founder kind of situation so people could be involved from the very start before the product is even live.
Yeah.
Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. And what was the response?
By the way, there are customers of ours up until today. Yeah, they're using this.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. And what was their response to the AI element? Because that was like brand new. It wasn't even like a public knowledge at that point, was it? So...
Yeah, people didn't know what does it mean at the beginning, and the only way, one of the most common comment we heard back then was that we don't see the AI, we can feel it, we can feel it help us, but we don't see it. How can we see it in the system? And this was something that took us a lot of time to get into a point which we build things inside the system that will actually show the AI.
I see. Okay.
It took us much longer time.
So the visual element of just presenting that it's actually doing something.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. So you took it as a separate element of the system to show it to the client so they see the value more.
Yeah.
Or, okay, I see.
When you sell some kind of a product to a customer, he wants, one of the most trustworthy sense that we have as humans is to see something, because if we see, it exists. If we don't see, it doesn't exist. So this was the most difficult thing we faced at the beginning, because if you want to sell something and you say, okay, based on AI, and you don't see it, you need to bypass the.
I see. Well, it's a common issue in the IT and tech space, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, you say that you did something, but the client might not see it. You know, oh, we've updated your servers or whatever, and they, yeah, okay,
Yeah,
but
they
did you
don't feel
really?
it, yeah.
Or SEO, that's another space
Yeah.
where there's it's been like a wave of agencies that would charge you monthly, but they didn't really do much, and
Yeah.
nobody really truly knows what's supposed to be happening, right?
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah.
been many businesses literally just scamming people.
Yeah.
So yeah, not a good practice, obviously.
Yeah.
Not recommending that. Okay. And in terms of your, let's call them like North Star features, what is the absolute like core thing that makes the most difference for your clients? Obviously you've described the product, you've described the process, but what is like the main thing, the AI element, which function exactly is it enhancing for, presenting that value to your clients when you're having that conversation? What seems to be clicking in the middle of that conversation the most for your clients?
So we have what we call it decode revenue.
Mhm.
Decode revenue is an engine inside our system that knows how to detect hidden revenue opportunities in a
Okay.
business. So in a sense, when you work on the system with your sales team or customer service team, the system knows how to map everything that happens between them and each one of them separately, and understand if there are hidden potentials. For example, if you talked about this SEO. So if I'm taking the marketing side, and as a business, I have multiple landing pages. So the system knows, for example, if that channel, that landing page generate leads that are missing some information, because we know that from the conversations, it will give you an alert. So add that information in your landing page. For example, other thing, when you have a customer service interaction, someone came with a complaint, and then I'm as a customer service representative, I solve this problem. Now and the customer is satisfied. Now it's a great time to ask for a referral and generate more leads to the business. And so the system can detect that kind of things and not just alert you, but also give you the ability to, it can autonomously do things for you. For example, if the rep didn't ask for a referral, then the system can communicate with the customer via WhatsApp, for example, and say, "Hey, this is Dori. We just spoken. Would you mind to give me a referral?" Just for example.
Amazing.
So it goes through all of the channels, all of the interactions and conversations, and understand if there are hidden potential opportunities. And it helps you to uncover and do something with it.
Amazing. So in a nutshell, you're transcribing all the conversations, and it's analyzing the transcripts, and it's building that model and the predictions based on what it picked up from these conversations. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's not just the voice conversation. It's all of the interactions, the written and the voice interactions.
Okay. So it remembers all
Everything.
from that context,
Yeah.
and then it spits out the output. Oh wow, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
And have you ever noticed? Obviously, it's a thing with some of the LLMs out there that there's things like hallucinations, etc. So have you been sort of able to avoid that, or is that still a risk? Because it's typical for LLMs that it might happen. Okay.
Yeah, when you use the typical LLMs, you have that kind of problem. But we don't use only LLMs.
I see.
We have our own models that knows that were trained on our own metrics and knows to how to eliminate those situations. So
That's
we
great.
have multiple steps that knows how to eliminate those cases.
That's amazing. Okay, so, and obviously you're relying on a very specific set of data on the input, so there shouldn't be really, it's not trying to generate something out of nothing.
Yeah,
it's only
obviously.
working on what's it's given.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And now on to the more like organizational sort of part of it. Obviously you've built the business a while ago. And the landscape is changing, especially in the AI space and anything that's AI enhanced in a rapid sort of pace. would you be able to sort of share some perspectives on how you see building the business solo or with a partner or maybe a number of partners? Obviously, it's become very easy to build something as an MVP, using all sorts of platforms. But then obviously to make that business work and scale it, that's a very different story. So sometimes going solo might not be an option. So is there anything that you can share from your own experience on that? Have you built it with somebody or was it just yourself at the core of the whole thing? How did that work?
So I just saw a couple of days ago a chart on LinkedIn that says that now you can really build whatever you want in just put in a prompt and then get the code. And it will be much more easier nowadays to do that. All of them will be stuck on a very specific point where you need to convert the product to sell. Because you need now to know how to do marketing and how to sell. And this is a different area of building a business. I think it's the most, not the most, but one of the most important thing you need to have when you're building a business. At the beginning, I knew that my strength is not to build a product.
Okay.
I have a partner, which is our CTO and co-founder, and he built the product. He did it. He doing it very well up until today. And my strength was the marketing and sales. So this is a great combination. If you have someone that you want to build a product and you're good at building products, and the partner is also good in building products, I don't think it's a good match, okay? Because I can feel it now. Oleg, which is my partner, we don't get involved in the other responsibility. So his responsibility is the technology and the product, and my responsibility is to make sure we generate income from that, and it works perfectly.
Sounds good. So you don't get in his way and he doesn't get in your way.
At
you
all.
just do your own thing.
Yeah. And that's why it works.
Amazing.
And I'm always saying that I have the longest relationship I had with anyone in my life. It's with my partner. So we have the relationship for over 12 years now.
Wow.
And in the business, it works really, really well because of that.
And at what point you decided that, okay, this is a good person to start something with? How did you recognize that? Or is it something that you identified on the personal level, or you just both had the desire to build something and you just said, oh, maybe let's try it together?
In the age we are at now, where you have lots of AI and lots of LLMs and other AIs, it's really easy to forget that at the end of the day, we're humans, and humans need to get along with each other, and you need to make sure. I did it. I had to understand that we can work together for a long period of time, and we will count on each other. And this was the most important thing I saw before we started the business.
I see. That's amazing. Well, it's very easy in this day of age to forget that we're human first. Even like sales scores, anything like that, all these kind of elements and interactions, you almost start to sound robotic just because everything starts to sound a bit like that, because everybody's like using, I don't know, ChatGPT for generating emails or whatever, just summaries of meetings, whatever it happens to be, right? And
it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing, but we need to remember it at the end of the day.
Of course. But that's the thing that makes us better, because you're enhancing that, let's say, logical part where, okay, let's summarize this meeting. So that's done for you. Yeah. But then you can focus on that human side of it and just show whether it's the emotion, the care, whatever you're trying to achieve with that person that you're talking to, you can show them the emotions. So that's amazing. It just takes that weight from you. You don't have to remember as much. So your head is less cluttered with just like useless information that you can forget tomorrow because it doesn't matter. It was just important for today.
And you can be focused on the real important thing.
Exactly.
You don't have to do like
Mm.
before that.
So is this something that you've identified that made the most difference? Obviously, you being involved in the marketing and just putting the product out there, is that really what made the most difference? Like, you just approaching people from that like human perspective and just, like being, okay, we're just trying to solve you a problem, etc., etc. Is that something that you noticed?
Back
that-
then,
Yes.
back then
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was it
Okay.
made the difference.
I see.
And we had a pretty good product at the
Mhm.
beginning.
Mhm.
It wasn't a great product, and we have multiple generations since then.
Mhm.
But at the beginning, it solved a real specific problem, and that was the approach back then, that you need to solve a really, really small and specific problem with your product. I think it's different case these days. And it worked perfectly because the product was quite good, and you needed to, and we could market and sell it, and that's the holy grail of businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. And with regards to the relationship with your partner, and obviously, you've described how you split into separate ways. Like, okay, he's sorting this element out. I'm working on this. Would you be able to share anything on like at what point you would start growing that team in terms of having people under your umbrella versus just we're gonna let's say subcon some of the coding, or maybe outsource some of the devs, etc., or was it your preference that you started building everything under your own team, or
Yeah.
was it just external people here and there at the start just to make it work?
So I think this was the most difficult thing in our business, because we built a business which is bootstrapped. We did the whole thing at the beginning. So Oleg did the development, I did the marketing and sales, and also I was the customer service support, customer success, what we call today.
I see.
And we've created a standardization in the business. And when we tried, we understood we can't get more clients. We can't get to the goals we want to go in order to grow. We understood we need more people. And we had a couple of tries at the beginning. It wasn't that good, because when you are used to give some level of service to a customer, and then someone else that he's an employee at the end of the day, it's not the owner of the business, then he's trying to give a service, and the client feels it's not the level of service you gave him, and you start to see that as a problem.
Yeah.
And it took us, I believe, more than a year to get into a point where we understand, okay, we need to put everything on paper, every procedure, every thing that we want to measure and do. And only then we were able to have more people on board. And now we have much more. But back then it was a breakthrough in our business.
I see. So you relied on the processes and operational...
And the metrics you've measured.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Do you still get the feeling like, oh, if you want to do something, you've got to do it yourself?
Obviously, it happens. And I want to get my hands dirty and do things. But I understand today, I understand that if we want to really grow, we need to have good people on board. And I think that the switch I had in my mind is when I got really quality people, and that's one of the hardest thing to do, to recruit really quality, high quality people. But when we got them, I saw that they can do in a different way. They can do things that are much better than I would do if you have the right people.
Okay.
And this was the point where we really grew, because we have more people, we can do it in a much smarter way, and we the results, we see them every day.
I see. So obviously nobody's going to be as invested in that business and making it work as you and your co-founder, right? But did you notice, because what I see specifically being involved in the customer success processes, it's you kind of, as a person, do get invested because you're trying to help somebody, especially if it's somebody that you've been working with as a client for a longer period of time, and you want to help them. But do you see that your teams are also struggling with, perhaps, handing over the tasks between themselves and just, collaborating on that sort of level? Or, have you removed that problem by having a really like slick processes in the first place?
So we have slick processes,
Mhm.
but because that's the other side of
Okay.
us being humans.
Mhm.
Because we are humans, we have an interaction. We can have multiple interactions with our customers. Some of them will be good interactions, and some of them won't be good
Of course.
interactions because they need to adopt new system, new
Mhm.
process. The customers need to adopt a new system, new processes, and others. And you need to make sure you manage you as a manager, not me. I have a team leader in each department. So we need to make sure they have the right metrics to measure and make sure they're helping the people to do a better job in
I
terms
see.
of the communication, the way we approach situations with customers,
I see.
etc.
That's very good. Very good. Also, from experience at my end, being from specific area of the globe introduces some really tricky situations. Like,
Yeah.
your like ASAP could be very different to your colleagues' ASAP, right? We all have a very different
Yeah.
sort of idea of time, and the sense of urgency is very different, especially between cultures, right? Have you struggled with something like that, starting the new sort of market and just, getting into the UK sort of area? How did you sort of, did you notice anything like that?
Yeah, I think the entrance to the UK was, a really great example for what you're saying. Our team we had started with an Israeli team, and it's a different culture. The way we communicate is different in Israel than in the UK, and it took us not long time because we have processes that measure the feedbacks from the customer. So we understood what is wrong and what is right, and then we would able to do the adjustments. But it took us a couple of months to understand which adjustments we need to do to the process and to understand what the customer really need and really wants to say, and adopt it into the process. And yeah, it took some time.
And it might be a silly question,
Yeah.
but just because everything happens in English here, was it easier for your actual solution to perform better? Or was there any difference between the two because it was a different language that it was operating on? Or it didn't really matter because it was already sort of, ready for it?
Yeah. So we although we started the business in Israel, we developed the whole product to be for the UK and
Okay.
the English market. So it had started, at the beginning, we had the system in English, and in Israel it's Hebrew. So users that don't know much English needed to work with Hebrew system with an English system, and it took us like a year and a half to have a Hebrew version for the Israeli market. So yeah.
I see. As a business owner, obviously you follow certain metrics to see what's happening in your business. So how did you approach measuring for that success and monitoring what people think about your product? Are they happy with it, etc.? How did you start with that? You mentioned that you did a little bit of that yourself at the very start, but do you have a dedicated, a set of people who measure the customer success perhaps, or, interact with your clients that way? Or is it embedded in another process as part of something else?
So we have both. We have the automated process that measure interactions with the system. And we have also the people that has the quality measurement. And also on every interaction we have, like the customer success, have some certain situation or a conversation with the customer. Then he knows if he needs to raise something to the manager, in order to understand that we have a pattern here, and then we need to handle it.
I see. And do you also, when you mention patterns, let's say your client is using this software, that software, and something else, and then your product. So you see like a landscape of the products that they're using right now.
Mhm.
So if you noticed a problem with that specific client, and you've got, let's say, 10 others with the same set of tools in place, is this something that you also try to recognize as a pattern? So you're preemptively try to address that with the other ones? Is this something that you're sort of looking into as well, or?
Yeah,
Mhm.
of course we do that.
Mhm.
For example, we had some Windows
Mhm.
update that causes the WebRTC. I don't know if it's a too complicated thing to say here. They changed something in the WebRTC, which means that the microphone will act different on the system. So we saw that, and it started on a few customers, and then we saw, okay, they have some technical problems, and then we understood we need to do some adjustments because of it will be on all of our customers.
Yeah, we should have stayed on Windows XP, definitely. No
I'm
point
pretty sure
moving.
Oleg would agree with you.
It never broke.
Yeah.
And there were no unexpected updates every day.
There were the blue screens, and
Oh, yes. Yeah.
we tend to forget.
Oh, I enjoyed these times, to be fair. At that point, I was building PCs for my friends and for
Oh, yeah.
myself. So I was just like, enjoying it really. Okay. One question that I think might be really relevant to the guys out there, especially for somebody who's trying to build a product of their own. What is the really important metric that you would look for when you're creating something new? As in, how do you even know what you're looking for in terms of the data? What is going to give you a good answer whether, okay, we're succeeding here and maybe we're falling short somewhere else? How would you... Did it take you a long time to identify that? That would be the first part of the question.
Mhm.
And then, how did you actually, identify that?
I think people are distracted
Mhm.
many times, but by many metrics.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started, and I would suggest anyone to do that, the only thing you need to measure is if you can sell the product.
Okay.
So you won't have the right product at the beginning, and you won't have the right product even after 50 customers.
Mm-hmm.
You need to start and sell it, because if you did that and customer bought and paid for the product, then you're on something. After that, you will have problems where customers will churn or say, okay, we can't use it because that and that and that. And this is a good thing, because if you can learn from that and improve your product, then you're on the right path in order to create a really great product.
I see. So your suggestion would be to start worrying about all these like KPIs, like NPS scores and stuff like this only later when the product is
Really?
already really like widely used.
Yeah. When
Okay.
you grow, then it's something that you need to take care of. I was mentioning before that before we had the MVP, I sold the product with a presentation to customers. So I would suggest doing that, exactly
Okay.
that. And even today we are doing that, because we have an idea for some extension to the system, and we go to some of our customers, which are customers we have a great relationship with them, and say, this is how it will look and this is what it would do. Would you pay for that? They said yes, we're going to develop that. If they say no, we won't develop that extension.
I see. Okay, that gives I hope everybody a really good understanding of that, because it makes total sense to me. And something both a bit simple but then hard to pull off: scalability.
Yeah.
Right? How do you make sure that when you're building from the start, it can be something that can grow fairly easily? Is it that you focus on the resources that it needs, whether it's the server space, etc.? I'm not trying to get too technical here, but just as a concept, do you decide at the very start, or you're just building for something else? First, let's just sell it and focus on that, and we're going to worry about scalability later, and we can just fix things later. Or do you plan for that, or did you specifically plan for that up front?
These days, you have much more ways to plan much better. Back then, we didn't have that knowledge, like go to ChatGPT and ask how to do something. And I think it doesn't really matter because you don't know how to expect everything. I remember one day we sold the system to a really big, back then it was a really big customer. They had over 100 users in the system. And it was an election day. They bought it to do the calls for the election day. And I remember they started to work with the system, and the system crashed. It was like almost 7 years ago. It was really at the beginning of the system. And then we understood we need to pay a really close attention to that area. And we did that. And obviously today we can serve tens of thousands of users. But back then it was, it was the ringing bell for us in order to pay close attention to that area. And we did that. But we couldn't do that, I believe. We couldn't do that and know everything in advance. It's something that I'm not suggesting that you need to give users to use the system and then it will crash. But you have to know that you don't know everything, to understand that you don't know everything, and you will understand things on the go.
I see. Okay. That gives me a really good idea how that could look like. And the last one on the scalability sort of factor is, how would you define it, right? Is it just the number of users that you can serve, or is it more about the reach? Because there's the duality. You can look at it from the perspective of, it is a product that could serve everybody in that space, or is it, how, easy can we grow it along with the number of users that's going up? How do you sort of, just for the guys, who might be building their thing, how they should really look at this from that experience that you've already got?
Yeah, I think it's both, but there is third thing that you need to pay close attention is if you would grow in the development team, you need to have structure in place which will enable you to work with teams. For example, like working with apps, the system will contain different apps, applications, which a team can take care of one application without breaking the others.
I see.
So you need to, if you want to think about everything in advance, and I think it's not the right approach, because you have certain limited amount of time, and you need to invest that in making sure that you can sell the product and get revenue, to generate income, and then you can take care of everything else. But when you take care of everything else, you need to pay attention to them, working with teams in the development, able to serve much more customers. And you should do that. But I think it's the second phase and not the first one.
I see. Okay. Now a little bit on the growth as a person alongside the business. I guess that you've gone through a few changes from the moment that you started the business. You did mention that you had a different business before, right? So you were already sort of used to running something of your own.
Yeah.
But being head of a successful tech company, how does that impact you on that personal level, on that sort of personal growth level? What sort of skill set did you see that you're lacking, that you had to develop on the go to keep up with the growing business? Can you just take us through that story a little bit?
I think it didn't change much in the sense of what I'm doing to develop myself as a person. I listen to books, I read books each day. Okay, it happens each day. And I'm trying to find areas which I'm not that confident and I'm not feeling that I'm succeeding in these areas. And I'm trying to be focused and resolve that and try to learn more. For example, when I started CallMarker, I was really good at marketing and not in sales. So I went and learned everything I can learn to be a much more successful salesperson. And I did that. And after that, it was the customer success. But the essence of what I'm doing every day, like I'm writing my goals and my tasks, and I measure how much of my task I'm able to finish, it's stayed the same.
I see.
But nowadays, when you have much more employees and you look at the world different than you looked a couple of years ago, then you have other concerns. Like I want that my employees will feel really, really good when they're working with us. And another thing, we want to give back to the community. So we do a lot of things to give back to the community. We support, like we have a Facebook group of sales reps. We sponsored that Facebook group.
Okay.
We do a lot of activities in order to help others to become successful in business and sales. So this is something that helps us and gives fuel in order to do much more.
So it gives you that sense of achievement as well, and like reward as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you actively get involved in that community element as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's
and
amazing.
if there are any ideas here, so
I see.
we'd be happy to hear.
And in terms of how you prefer to work, to make your life easier, did you find yourself just sort of forcing yourself out of specific tasks? So you just train yourself to just move away from that and just let the team deal with that, or is it like you still want to have that close visibility of that, but then it might be impacting your capacity, obviously the mental space, etc. How did you sort of work with that?
So we promoted one of our team members to be a CRO.
Mm-hmm.
So he has a really big role at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to put my hands off and give him the ability to manage the team, and it was a really difficult situation because I'm used to to feel the company. I'm calling it to feel, yeah. So
Okay.
I know what will be the revenue. I know to look at the risks in terms of churn. I know how to understand that this situation requires much more involvement. And now I need to give others to do that. So it's really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm seeing the positive side, and it works. It works really well.
And that's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
if you are seeing the results of it, then why shy
but
from
it's
it?
still hard to do that.
I see. Because it's your kind of child, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've built it, you've started it, so it's...
I'm finding myself stopping me asking questions.
I see.
In some situation, because I don't need to do that. He knows how to handle that.
I've got that type of personality as well, so I totally understand that. Okay, and when we look at the overall structure, right? Are you structure of work? Sorry, not the company. Are you the to-do list kind of person, or maybe time blocking? Any sort of tips you can recommend? For anybody who wants to get the most out of their day, because obviously the time is critical, especially when we're trying to build something new. We have to be really careful what we do and don't spend the time on. So what did you see worked best for you from your side?
To close the electric devices, have a notepad, and write my the big things I want to achieve this week, this month.
Okay.
And then out of them, create my to-do list.
Okay.
And I'm working, I'm writing with my hand, not on the computer, because then you have a lot of distractions when you open your email, you open your WhatsApp, you open
Notifications.
everything. Yeah, I don't have any notifications on my
Okay.
phone. I shut down all of them
Mhm.
because then you will be pulled out from what you're planning to do.
I've
It
seen this
happened,
myself. Yeah.
but I'm trying to
Mhm.
to make it happen less.
I see. I'm a big fan of handwriting as well.
Yeah.
If it's something important, it's always on paper.
Yeah.
The day-to-day notes, yeah, it can be on the phone, but anything else, like really something that matters, it has to
Yeah.
be on a piece of
Yeah.
paper. Okay, and maybe the last big one on the that initial journey of creation of a product, and something that touched on your, let's say, personality profile. How do you recognize that it is in line with how you function? Not every product is for somebody. You might be inclined towards the technical space. You might be inclined towards some sort of a more, let's say, human based interactions, etc. So you being good at something and having specific traits, how do you recognize that this is where you can actually function? How can you contribute to your business the best? Because that's that self-realization that I still a bit, struggle a little bit with. So is there something you can share on that front?
I think it's a matter only of results. So
Mhm.
if you do something and the impact is so big, then keep doing it until you have enough budget to give someone to do the exact same thing. Otherwise, you should pay someone to do. And I know it's quite difficult to hear that, because when we were at a very low budget, we didn't have any budget to pay some designer, and I did the designing, and I'm not that good at designing. But when I understood that if I will design something and it won't be that good design, even though we don't have the budget, the impact will be huge, because we will lose credibility and others. So I think the formula is making sure that if you do something you're really, really good at and the impact is really great, and if not, you should pay someone to do that, whether it's an employee or a freelance or...
So you're cutting that risk of this going terribly bad
Yeah.
in near future. I see. Okay, I've got a few questions here, this and that scenario. So which one would you prefer? So I've got a few things listed here.
Okay.
You were growing a new business, right?
Mhm.
Which one would you prioritize? A rapid growth, or like slow pace and that scalability element? You want to dominate the market first, or is it better to take it slow and just make sure that it's a sustainable growth from the start?
Sustainable growth.
Okay. So
Definitely.
is it
But-
because
but-
of the current situation on the market, or is it just your personal preference?
No, I think it's the situation, but you need to keep the word growth, as the most important thing, because if you do a rapid thing and you don't do a growth that much, then it's not a good thing. But if you have a rapid growth, yeah, it's a good thing.
I see. Perfect. And next one, all devs should be in-house or outsourced?
In-house.
In-house. Okay.
Period.
Okay. Got it. What about the start? Is it still okay to outsource?
No, we didn't outsource any up
Okay.
until today. And I think the amount of knowledge you can get when you do it in-house, it's priceless. You can't
In terms of learning how to work with the developer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just how to work with the developer, but during the process of development, you have interactions and you have discoveries during this process, and you want to keep it at home.
I see. And when you started doing that, it just came to me, as a separate sort of question, but element of that. Did you have any like major breakthroughs? Like as soon as you started working with your devs, did they bring up anything like major that like, oh, we never even thought about that? Oh, okay.
Definitely. And that's the reason I'm saying that you need to keep your. And I'm sorry for all of the companies that selling services for developments in the developers outside. But yeah, definitely it's something that we are stick to.
I see. Obviously, there's going to be a difference between like making a small app for, I don't know, booking meetings and a product like yours.
But for that, you don't need any
Exactly.
developer now. You can do that.
So you guys are still safe. You can still make some apps. Okay, the next one. Okay. And that's a tricky one. And I struggled to answer this one myself as well.
Okay.
Innovation and constantly being at the forefront of the actual technology. So you're like offering the latest, the best, etc. versus just something a bit more old school, but really trialed and tested, so it's executed perfectly.
Innovation.
Okay. Even if it's not perfect.
Even if because it's not perfect. We have customers that agreed to use our beta testing features, and we constantly publish new functions and new areas of the system, and it works. Most of our customers wants to be in the beta, so and they use it. They love it, and they know it will be a buggy thing. We try not to publish things with bugs, but you always have bugs, and it's okay, and it's a good thing, and we get feedback from them while we're developing the thing, and when we take the feedbacks, we can improve the thing before it's it's a finalized version of that.
I see. So I think I've got a feeling now how you might answer the next one. What do you think of zero bug policy?
No, we don't do that.
Got it. I did come across a couple of companies who were like, absolutely, no, it's got to be a zero bugs and then we launch. And I'm like, is it realistic?
Even the biggest companies in terms of the innovation, they have bugs. Apple, for example.
Oh, of course.
So I don't see any harm with that.
And do you see a trend on the adoption of that latest like beta version and stuff like this? Is it usually the really long-standing customers, or
no,
is it
all
just
of them.
across them? Oh, okay.
Customers wants to be in our experience, customers wants to be first and get advantage in the B2B market, to get advantage in the market. So if they have something they can do much better than their competitors, they would want to use it.
Okay. That links perfectly with the next question. So how you give them the access to that advantage, which is your software, basically. What would you prefer? A entry point, which would be like a really low but limited features subscription model. So you get the client first, and then you scale the revenue growth with them over time, and you just unlock the let's say features with some tiers. Or is it, from the start, it's a contract like this, and it's usually a bit, higher priced because of that leverage is so high for the client? What would be your sort of preference there?
The second one, because in the CRM industry, for example, it's very common that you buy a system and you won't use even half of it.
That's true. Yeah.
And we believe that when you as a business buy a software, it should generate revenue. Our software should generate revenue. And if I would sell you something that costs, like, let's say 50% of the full price, but it won't generate revenue. So the difference of a couple of hundreds of pounds or something is not relevant to the end result. Okay, a business is not coming to us in order to save some hundreds of or thousands of pounds. He's coming to us because he wants to generate more revenue, and revenue it's hundreds of thousands or more than that or less than that, but it doesn't really matter. But it's much more than the saving amount.
I see. So it's a bit like you put let's say £1 in, but you get 5 back. Yeah. So it's only logical to put as much as you can in that initial pot so it can grow 5 times.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, that's a great strategy.
I wouldn't eliminate the features that it can help you as a business, just because pricing, because of
Mm.
pricing. So
I see.
yeah.
And for the guys out there, do you think this is specific to your niche, or because it's that type of product, or are there like where I'm getting with this is are there specific products that this might still be a valid
Yeah.
growth strategy? So you just get in first, and then you just slowly grow with the client.
Yeah, but we do something really similar without the price. So we said,
Mhm.
let's give you the ability as a business. Let's give you the ability to work on the system free of charge,
Okay.
and only if the system generated twice as much as you can generate without the system, then you can buy it.
I see.
So you get the free version of the system to test it, and then you will pay the full price.
Amazing.
But we are our product is a high ticket product. But if you go to a low ticket product, then it makes much more sense to do an entry pricing freemium or something, and then grow from there. But then you need to have a really good processes in order to educate customers and make them understand that they need more features and then to pay. So you need customer success, automated systems that will help him. And it's really, really difficult. So
I see.
yeah.
Okay. And the last question in that segment is about AI, specifically, how it enhances the let's say interactions. So let me just read this out because it's one of the longer questions. AI-driven automation with limited human input versus human-led processes enhanced by technology. So how do you see the proportions shifting? Because you're so close to it, obviously you have a good line of sight of that.
Yeah. So first, I think, again, it will be both. It should be both, because there are processes in which you don't need human involved. Okay, to send WhatsApp, customized WhatsApp, you don't need any human involved. But in order to do a much more complex processes, like do the sale, you would need to have really good salesperson enhanced by AI. And that's the future we're going to. We will have, and that's what we do also, we will have a really smart salesperson in which he doesn't know only what happened during the conversation with you, but he knows where did you visit last time you had a vacation. And he will know much more things about yourself and your personality and what might work in that case. And he will be able to give you much more value as a customer.
Yeah, the number of the calls where I just, jump in the conversation and I just don't really know who I'm talking to, because it's either the first time and maybe the handover notes weren't that great, and you're kind of guessing, okay, who are you even facing in that meeting? To have something like this, I think it's priceless, to be fair.
Yeah, it is.
It makes such a big difference.
Yeah.
You know who you're facing. Okay, this person is this. Even within the organization, when somebody contacts you, they don't always describe their position in the business in the footer. So you're like, okay, so but who are you in this business? Like, are you the decision maker? Are you not? Often you can just tell by their tone and how they're composed, etc. But obviously, it's not something that you just know coming in that conversation. So,
but we need to look at the other side as well, because it's not just the business experience; it's also the customer experience.
Of course,
because if the customer can have a personalized process, and someone will really know what he means and what he wants and what he needs. So then the process will be much better, and he will be able to take decisions that are much fit to his case than in other cases.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's this segment done. Thank you very much for this. Gives everybody a good idea of how you've structured and how you approach the business sort of topics and matters. And at the very end, because we're kind of getting close to the end of our conversation, I just wanted to have a more sort of candid conversation about the general concepts. One thing that I really wanted to address is obviously AI is not going away.
Yeah.
It's only going to become more and more sort of embedded into everything. Where do you see your business, actually ending up at some point? Is this something that you want to see, utilized by all bigger businesses out there, or is there a specific type or maybe, structure of businesses that you just find that you work best with? Is there a specific niche only that you're targeting, or, you want to make it as universal as possible? So whether it's 600 people per, team or a 10 people team, it's still going to work as well and bring as much value.
So I think that we need to understand the whole business industry will change in the next few years, because, as we said, there will be jobs that will be out of the world because of AI. So I'm not sure that the size of the business is the right way to see where is your match with businesses. I'm pretty sure that the way we will look at businesses will be changed and evolved in the next 1 or 2 years. It's not that much time. But I think that we will be in a space where we can empower those that needs to do the revenue related jobs. For example, account executives, for example, physical meetings, for example, managers that will have to decide what they should do next in order to have advantage in the market. So that's the space we're going to be at.
Okay, I see. And from what you noticed, how much of a difference does it make typically? So let's say you have a new client sign up, their sales team, well obviously they were hitting the targets, right? But it wasn't anything, spectacular, right? You walk in with your solution, what do you notice immediately at their end, or what do they report to you that they notice immediately? Is it mainly the time-saving element and how well they can operate with what they are given, or is there actual direct impact on the revenue that they are generating?
So the only thing we measure is the revenue.
Okay.
And because we are so sure about the system and what it can do, we say, as I said before, we say, okay, let's test the system.
Yep.
And only if it causes you to double the results of your sales reps, which mean revenue, only then you should buy the system. And we see businesses that literally either double the revenue or literally needs less team members to do that. And we don't encourage everyone to work with less sales reps, but we do encourage people to optimize the process. And if you can generate more leads, so you will skip the whole team, but generate more leads and then generate more revenue with our system.
I see.
So it's either way, and that's what we are testing with the system. And it's a disclaimer. We're not promising everything, etc.
Of course.
But we can show any business, not any, but 90% of the businesses that are interacting with us, that we can at least double the results.
Okay. And did you see any difference between, because obviously you have a few different approaches to sales. It could be a very gentle, soft sale kind of approach, or really aggressive sort of campaigns and stuff like this, just bombarding clients with, constant, communication, marketing materials, and then, approaches from the sales team directly. Which one of these scenarios, or maybe a bit of both, does the solution fit in better?
So the example I give all the time is that let's take whatever process you're doing at the moment, and let's clone the exact sales representative you have at the moment. Let's clone him, and now you have two of the same one.
Yep.
What will be the result? So all of them are saying, I will double the results. So it doesn't really matter the process. If you have something in place that works, we will optimize this process and also double the efficiency and what the sales rep can do.
I see. So you're basically, if somebody's aggressive, they can be twice as aggressive.
Not twice as aggressive.
I know what you're saying.
Like twice the amount of people.
Efficient.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing. Okay. And I think, in terms of the technical and product related sort of, conversation, I think that's it. We've covered pretty much anything, unless there is something specific that you would like to also put out there as your message on that sort of element. But one thing that that you mentioned at some point during our break is something I picked up on, and I would really like your opinion on this. Music. That's been part of your story to some extent, and I have a feeling that this might have a profound link to the fact that you are now capable of building something of your own, because you practiced a craft, so you know that it takes time and it takes reps, and you have to just keep practicing and building that skill. Would you compare the two? Because standing outside of that and just hearing the story, it just sounded exactly like this to me. So what would you say about that one?
I never thought about it. But yeah, it sounds like it's related. I think it's more the approach that I have to life, that you should never give up. You should try until you succeed. Because each time, each increment, you will do it better. Because if you learn for something, then you will do it later. For example, when my child ride on a bike for the first time and he fall on the floor and it really hurt, I said, it's a good thing. You should remember, it's a great thing that happened to you. Next time, you will learn from it. And I think this is the most important thing as an entrepreneur, to understand that you will fall. You will get, beaten lots of time, and it will hurt. It will really hurt. But you need to stand up and keep doing it until it works.
It reminds me of a quote. I think it might have been Jocko Willing, who says that at every point of change, no matter how painful it is, there's always something good that's going to come out of that. And I've seen this in my own life, and from what you're saying, I can sense that it might have been similar to you as well. Would you agree with that?
Totally agree. So you need to understand that the pain is not infinity. It will end, and then you will raise and grow up and do it better next time.
I see. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Great conversation. Thank you.